Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Startup Sessions. My name is Colette Broomhead, and I'm a startup strategist. So I work with people who are still in their 9 to 5, but who want to start and create an online business doing something they love, so they can quit their 9 to 5 for good. And because we all want more freedom, don't we? We want more freedom of time. We don't want to work to someone else's schedule. We want to be able to work to our own schedule. We want to work fewer hours if possible. We want freedom of location. So we want to be able to work from where we want, not necessarily having to drag ourselves into the office and go through that commute every day. We want the freedom to be able to work in our PJs or work from a beach with a cocktail in our hand. And we want freedom of money. We want to be able to earn what we truly deserve, and not what our pay grade determines. So that's what I help people to do. And the reason I do is because that's exactly what I did myself. I quit my 13-year corporate career, and now I run my own business. I've never been happier. I've never felt more fulfilled, and I've never felt more free. So I want to help as many people have that same freedom as possible. So today we are talking about what makes a successful entrepreneur. It's a question we've all asked ourselves, haven't we? Lovely to see a few people watching live. Do say hey, give me a wave, give me a like. Give me a comment. I should try to remember to actually keep an eye on the comments. The other day, I completely forgot to check comments. I got so caught up. And Wendy had very kindly told me that she couldn't hear me because, in fact, I didn't have my mic switched on. So I talked for 20 minutes without realising that no one could hear me because I didn't check the comments. So I won't make that mistake today. And in fact, Wendy said, hello. Hey, Wendy. Nice to see you. So today, as I said, we are talking about what makes a successful entrepreneur. It is a question we all ask ourselves. Anyone who has started a business at some point, or even anyone who's thinking of starting a business, at some point asks themselves that question. You know, have I got what it takes? What does it take? What sets aside those people that we all look up to who have built successful businesses? What sets them aside from us? And what do we need to do to be like them and to be a success? So in tonight's episode, I am going to chat. Hey, Tanya, lovely to see you. I'm going to chat about my thoughts because I genuinely believe that it's not down to IQ, ability, or any of those things. Yes, of course, they can probably help, but a business is built in many different ways. And just because someone's got a high IQ doesn't necessarily mean that they have all the other necessary requirements to be successful in business. You can have an IQ, but be terrible with people. So just having an IQ or having, huge ability in something doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a success in business, and vice versa. So what I believe is that the things that set aside those people who are successful in business are the choices that they make, and that by making those same choices for ourselves, we too can be successful. So I have broken it down into 5 key choices that I believe all successful business people, all successful entrepreneurs have made. And you can see it by the way they are, the way they live their lives, and the way they run their business. And you can see it in every single one of those people that you look up to and, who have done brilliantly in the business world. It's the same across the board. And I firmly believe that it's these choices that really make the difference in whether you are successful in business or not. So without further ado, let me dive into what those choices are. So the first one is to follow your dream in the first place, because let's face it, we all have that dream at some point of doing something more with our lives, of having more impact, of having that freedom that I talked about at the start of this broadcast. We all have those thoughts, don't we? but only some people choose to act on them. Only some people will actually take that step and make it more than just a daydream, but they will actually start doing something about it. They will start really following their dream and really believing that they can reach that dream and that they can achieve it. So I think that is the first choice that a successful entrepreneur will make, is to actually take action on their dream and not just dream. Let me know, by the way, if you agree with these, and let me know if this is something that you felt that you've done yourself. My second choice, glancing as always to my notes, is the decision to be brave. Because it's scary, taking that leap, putting yourself out there. There is so much that is really scary about starting and growing a business. At some point, you are forced to do things that are out of your comfort zone. And for that, for all of us, that might be something different. I'm an introvert. So in fact, when I first did a Facebook Live, it was terrifying for me. Now, thankfully, I do so many that I don't really think twice about it. But in order to get to that point, I had to really go out of my comfort zone, because I did not feel comfortable at all kind of putting myself on show and talking in front of a camera. Growing up, I did everything I could to avoid any kind of situation where I was kind of center of attention or up on a stage or anything like that. I hated it. So for me, that was massively out of my comfort zone. For others, it may be something different. For others, creating content, actually writing and sort of showing part of themselves can feel really difficult. And again, that's a necessary part of business. We have to be a bit vulnerable. We have to let people in. We have to let people connect with us. And sometimes that means being quite raw and sharing parts of ourselves that can feel quite difficult. Sales can feel really uncomfortable. Actually talking about yourself and trying to sell yourself and sell your products feels unnatural. It feels awkward. And scary. So there's tons of stuff, and I haven't even mentioned the whole kind of money side of things, and the lack of security and the terror of what if I don't make any money? What if I don't make this work? What if I can't pay my bills? And all of that side of it. So there's a lot to be scared about. So if you're going to be a successful business owner, if you're going to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to make that decision that you're going to just get on with it. You're going to be brave. You're going to step out of your comfort zone a lot, because you'll need to a lot. And every time you start to get comfortable, usually that's a sign that you need to be doing it again, because otherwise you're going to plateau. And if you want your business to keep growing, you have to keep on changing. You have to keep on doing things that feel scary. And that is a big decision that as a successful entrepreneur, you have to make and you have to accept and get on with. I'm seeing some comments. Lovely. Let's have a look. Oh, Tanya, thank you. Yeah, no, I was terrified. You can scroll back in this group. My very first Facebook Live was in this group, and I told myself, I'm just going to go live for even if it's 30 seconds, I'm just going to do it and get it out of the way. And so I went live. My little boy was in his high chair, and I used him as a bit of a prop. I thought, he's here, he'll kind of support me and take a bit of the highlight off me if I've got someone else here. But he wasn't playing ball as well at all. He was quite grumpy, and so it all got a bit awkward. Yeah, you have to dig it out and watch it. It was all very awkward, but once it was done, it was a weight off my shoulders, and then the next one was a bit easier, and so on and so on. Wendy, thank you. That's very kind of you, ladies. Okay, so we are on to choice number 3. So choice number 3 is to keep learning, and another big one. I think sometimes when you make a decision to go into business, it's usually because, or not necessarily because, but you have something that you want to do, and it's something that you're already good at. So for me, when I actually first went into business, it was because I was doing copywriting. It's because I've always loved writing, and it was something I felt comfortable with and confident with. And so I was, confident doing it as a business. what I hadn't really anticipated was all the other stuff that I would need to learn. It's no good just being good at copywriting. In order to be a copywriter, I need to know all the other elements about selling myself and getting clients, and how to basically run a business. So there's a massive learning curve, and just because you're an expert in your field, it doesn't mean that you know how to build a business around it. So there's this learning curve, and no matter what stage of business you're at, you always have more to learn. And I think it's only when you accept that and realize that, and kind of have that thirst for knowledge and have that thirst for development, and are self-aware and curious as well. I think there's an element of curiosity when you look at other successful entrepreneurs and successful business people. They all have that curiosity. They're always wanting to understand how things work, and wondering what would happen if. And that whole kind of thirst for knowledge, thirst for finding out more, thirst for developing yourself is a really key element as well. Because in order to build a successful business, you are constantly learning. You are constantly having to go through this kind of huge learning curve, and it doesn't stop. And I think anyone who thinks I know enough now is in a dangerous zone, because chances are they don't. And there's always a next step. There's always more to find out. There's always more to experience, more to learn. So the next choice number 3, is the decision to always keep learning, and to put yourself in positions where you can kind of soak up knowledge. And that can be in so many different forms. It can be reading books, it can be listening to podcasts, it can be doing courses, it can be working with a mentor, working with a coach, it can be working in a mastermind of peers and learning from each other. And so much of that is so helpful. There's a guy that I follow called James Wedmore, who's great, and he says, what does he say? He's got this great saying about you do something alone, but you go faster with together, or something. I'm completely butchering it, but basically the idea is that together you're stronger. Together you all go, move together faster, and support each other, and so on. And I'm a big believer in that. Tanya says, absolutely true. Recently finished my advanced social media diploma course. Yeah, I mean, actually qualifications as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be a qualification, but of course, having a an accredited sort of qualification to back up your credibility is always going to help. And the more you can add to that, the better. So yes, keep learning, keep being curious, keep looking for ways to develop yourself and get experience. And then choice number 4 is all about connection. And again, I say I'm an introvert, and my instinct is to avoid connection, generally speaking, because it's all a bit scary, talking to people you don't know and all this kind of thing. And when I first got started in business, I thought one of the great things about it would be that I'm here on my own and I don't have to have that connection. I'm not, there in the office feeling intimidated by all these people, and and a bit overwhelmed by having to talk to people in meetings and so on and so forth. Little did I realize that actually connection is still key. Not just building relationships in terms of, getting customers and building those types of relationships, but actually having relationships with other people who get it. Because in fact, it can be incredibly lonely. And even as an introvert, there's only so much you can take of sitting on your own at home, not talking to anyone. And, friends and family are great, but they don't necessarily understand, all the kind of mental turmoil that you're going through. They don't understand that journey. And it is a real roller coaster of a journey, isn't it? When you're building a business, you have days when you're, high and, everything is wonderful and you're, the champion of the world and, nothing can defeat you. And then other days when you feel completely flat, you feel like you're never going to do this, you feel like questioning everything, completely doubting yourself, wondering why you got into this in the first place. It really, really is so many ups and downs. And I really believe that only people who are going through it or have been through it themselves really, really get that and can help you through it. I have an accountability buddy who I met through a course I was on last year, and we chat pretty much every Monday morning. We jump on a Zoom call and we chat for half an hour about what we've got planned for the week, what happened last week. And most of our chats tend to be all around all that emotional stuff, oh, I felt really flat last week, or I had a really great week, I felt really on top of it, and and helping each other and reminding each other of what it's like, and that we can keep going, and that everything's okay. And it makes such a difference to have someone there to talk to like that, and having a community. I'm also part of a community, and quite often I'll go and post in the Facebook group going, oh, just had a rubbish day, has anyone else had this? And immediately a flood of responses come back and make you feel better. And so that connection, that community is really key as well when it comes to building a business and being a successful entrepreneur. And then my last choice, and this is the biggest one. This is, when it comes down to it, what separates the people who make it and who are successful from the people who don't, and who give up and don't quite get there. And that decision is the decision to keep going. Because at the end of the day, if you are building a business, in fact, no matter what you're doing in life, you are going to make mistakes. You're going to fail at things occasionally. It's going to happen. And it's so easy to look at other people and think that they've never failed, that they've somehow reached the top without ever making a mistake. And that as soon as you make a mistake, that's a sign that it wasn't meant to be, or as a sign that you can't do it because you've made a mistake. The fact is, they've made mistakes too. They've made hundreds of mistakes along the way to get to where they are. But the difference is that they have decided, instead of giving up, they are going to dust themselves off. They're going to learn from the mistakes. They're going to understand, what those mistakes mean, and how they can get around them, how they can not make them again. And then they keep going again and again after every mistake, every failure, every, downfall. They keep going. And that is the ultimate choice that will separate out someone who is going to succeed from someone who isn't in business. So I hope that's helpful. It's I find it helpful kind of going through those myself, because just today I see so many people online and in Facebook groups who are having these bad days. I feel like I'm just not doing very well at the moment. Perhaps I shouldn't have done this, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes, yes, not everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. Not everyone wants to make those choices. And that's why not everyone is. Not everyone wants to have to put themselves out of their comfort zone like that. Not everyone wants to have that insecurity, that kind of financial instability. Not everyone wants to have to keep feeling like a failure and keep getting up and going on. It isn't for everyone. But if you decide that you want to make those choices, then you're definitely on the right track. And if you just keep going, you will get there. So there we go. Those are the 5 choices that every successful entrepreneur makes, and that you will need to make too if you want to become successful in business. Let me know if you have any questions. Tanya, extremely helpful. All the choices make sense and absolutely vital for growth. Yeah, definitely. So before I leave you, I want to chat about an opportunity to further your learning, an opportunity to connect with people. What else have I got? An opportunity to step out of your comfort zone if this is something that you haven't done much of yet. And that's my email challenge. So you may have already heard about it. If you're watching this in the replay, let me know. And I know you ladies have heard about it. So at the on the 16th, so a week on Monday, I will be starting a 5-day email challenge. This is a challenge for people who either haven't started email marketing at all yet, or who have started but are struggling to kind of get new subscribers, to struggling to kind of get momentum with it. And we're going to be going through the entire process. So we're going to be looking at how you can come up with a lead magnet that's right for your audience, how you can actually create that lead magnet and get it set up, and then what you can do to promote it, to actually start to really get those subscribers coming in on a regular basis. And then lastly, and really importantly, and this is something that often gets missed when it comes to email marketing, but it's perhaps the most vital of all, and that's how to then write emails that your audience are going to love and get something from, so that they stay with you, and so that you actually get to build a relationship with them, which is the purpose of email marketing. People kind of get so obsessed with getting subscribers, building my list, that they then forget to do anything with their list once they've done it. So we're going to be going through that whole process. So even if you're a beginner, even if you don't even have an email service yet, we'll be covering all of that stuff. So that at the end of the 5 days, you will know how to get started. You'll know how to get your first lead magnet set up and running and getting you subscribers in. So if that is something that you would be interested in, I will be popping a link to join the challenge. It's completely free, as I say, in the description of this Facebook Live. So do come and join us. And we start on Monday, the 16th. That's a week on Monday. And with that, I shall wish you a beautiful rest of your day, even if you're here in the UK, rest of your day, wherever else you may be. I don't know what the time difference is in South Africa, Tanya. What is it? I'm not sure. And I shall speak to you again very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.